supposedly.
We got some
flunky named Iroquois Pliskin.
Iroquois Pliskin.
Who my friend
what was
swore
up with
was
that
a snake.
guy?
Not to be confused with what was his name? From
Snake Plissken?
Yeah,
Escape from New York and Escape from LA?
Yeah. What was that, Kurt Russell? I believe?
Yep.
Yeah, Snake Plissken. But, I think he played a good not Snake, even though he had Snake written all over him. He played Iroquois as Snake. Good thing Raiden didn't know anything about him. Except that he was dead.
Yeah.
And that supposedly the leader of the Sons of Liberty was Solid Snake.
But he was dead. It's one of many points that didn't make any sense.
Exactly. Everyone knew he was dead, and yet this guy and Solidus thought he could say he was Snake. As for the plot, I'm sure we could go on about that.
We'll get to that later. We'll get into our tinfoil hatting later.
Okay, then the characters. Favorite character from 2. It has to be Raiden, right?
What? No. Just because I have an action figure signed by Quentin Flynn does not make Raiden my favorite character.
Unfortunate.
Favorite character from 2. Well, the only different characters besides Raiden were the members of Dead Cell. And of those,
Solidus.
I'd have to say Solidus or Fortune, which is sad.
Fortune?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fortune was a bit too. It's even spoken about in the game that Fortune is the archetype tragic hero.
Mm-hmm.
It's said by Ocelot, which I thought was a little too. She was a little too archetype. Honestly, because she seemed like all the rest of them. She wanted to die for some strange reason. There seemed to be a theme with the Dead Cell people and wanting to die.
Well, I don't know.
Because Fat Man wanted to die for a stupid reason. Just so he could be famous. Vamp wanted to die, even though he can't. And Fortune, just because she wanted to see her family.
Yeah.
She was tired of being alive and everyone else being dead.
I hope this is something that will be covered in 4. Curious as to how Vamp works. I mean, I know that the series in general is not opposed to supernatural elements, but even so, they normally have good explanations.
It's a bit of a stretch for Vamp.
Yeah.
Being shot in the head like 3 times and living.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is he actually a vampire? Could that do it? Because if that is the case, if he is really a vamp, then that would explain it. But I think even that's a bit of a stretch for Metal Gear.
Mm-hmm. The only other pure supernatural elements are liquid possessing Ocelot, which is
has to do with the sorrow.
Yeah, and also cellular memory, I guess. That's something they do touch on.
Cellular memory? Yeah. Where? When? I must be drawing a blank.
I'm sure they've mentioned it at some point. It seems like something that would a
pop in.
Yeah.
With all this talking about cells and genes and nonsense.
Right.
Seems like more of an Assassin's Creed thing.
Well, Assassin's Creed has a lot of it too. But
yeah.
That's the whole point of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, cellular memory.
Yeah.
The Sorrow himself was completely supernatural, and that's why.
But he was a ghost, and outside of him killing Bolgan, he really didn't have a physical bearing on the world.
He would give you.
He could give you hints, but that was you seeing him.
That wasn't actually having any bearing on the physical world.
Right.
Okay, yeah. Vamp got kind of annoying, honestly, in 2.
I think my biggest problem with Vamp is you see him in all these cutscenes. He runs on water. He gets shot in the face and just brushes it off. He dodges bullets by doing a dance,
Spinning.
spinning around, dancing.
Yeah.
He slaughters an entire
Pretty much
squadron
of Navy
of
SEALs.
Navy SEAls, and also sleeps with as many men and women as exist in the game that aren't named Snake or Raiden.
That we know of.
Yeah. And yet you fight him and he's a total joke.
All of the times.
Yeah.
What is it, 3 times?
Twice.
Twice. You fight him in the water.
Yeah.
Is it right before or right after?
And then you
get
snipe
Emma?
him.
And then you snipe him, and then somehow he manages to stab Emma. Which I never figured out. Because when you're done, when you shoot him the last time, you get the impression that you did good.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden she's stabbed.
Right.
Which I never figured out. How that happened.
I didn't like Emma.
Well, I think that goes a lot of people's tying of not liking Otacon either.
Yeah, well...
I don't know what you think about him. We haven't even touched on him yet. How sad.
I know. I like Otacon. I really do. He's kind of the... I always... kind of pictured it metagame style as, like, you're Otacon.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you have the outside view of Snake, and... it really only works in the first game, and only for half of that. But... I don't know.
Yeah, because he's stealth.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I can see
I
where
always
you're
felt like
coming.
Otacon's supposed to be the most related to the player.
Yeah, I can understand that because he pretty much is the one most related to the player. Nobody else, except for Campbell. You talking about like the player or the character?
Hmm?
Are you talking about like the physical player or the character of Snake?
Well, I guess both.
Because I think if anybody related most to Snake, it would be Campbell.
Yeah.
I guess to the player would have to be Snake itself, but I can see where you're coming from. How the entire thing, it would seem like it would be Otacon just kind of watching, especially in the second half of the first one and 4.
Okay.
Because none of the other ones, and in the first sliver of 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because 3 obviously, and he has nothing to do with most of 2.
Right.
But you didn't like Emma, why?
Well, a lot of it is she's a lot of the storylines she introduced made Otacon weird.
Weirdness that'll never go away.
Yeah, I mean, if she hadn't shown up, we would have never learned that Otacon slept with his stepmother while his dad committed suicide and his sister almost drowned.
You're lying.
Well,
And we would have all been happier not knowing.
I'm here to
exactly that his father killed himself while dragging Emma in with him because of
Here.
Otacon going all
Do you have
the graduate on us.
Well, do you?
But
Everybody on this project has them.
yeah, I think we could have done without it.
Let's try.
I mean, I guess
Yeah, but
maybe
we
it was
would've-
intended to make Otacon more sympathetic, but it failed horribly on that count.
Well, it didn't. I don't think it garnered him any more sympathy from me.
No. I already
Personally.
felt bad enough for him that,
Because he sit and leaked himself in a locker.
yeah,
That's
seems
the
to run
first
in the
thing-
family.
Yeah.
But just the fact that, he just signed up for this thing because he wanted to build mechs just like in his Japanese
Scandinavian
animes.
animes.
and then he finds out it's being used to be a weapon, and
Which seems like he would have known that because that's what every robot's used for in every anime.
Scandinavian or Japanese.
Exactly.